What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined by my dad, Sean, and today, reactions to the classics. We got a song battle in store, courtesy today of a suggestion from our longtime friend and patron of the channel, Joseph. Joseph, my dude, shout out to you. Appreciate you bringing this. It seems like it's going to be an interesting battle, to say the least.
Yeah, I did the research on it, and I'm very much looking forward to this one. We got Red Army Blues by the Waterboys. We got some Waterboys stuff up, including the top 10. Versus Roads to Moscow by Al Stewart. And I only know one song by Al Stewart, and this ain't it.
Yeah, same here.
So let's dive in. I think it's going to be a pretty heavy song battle. Red Army Blues, the Waterboys, from a pagan place in 1984. It first appeared on the 12-inch single for December. The song is a first-person narrative of the life of a young Soviet soldier in World War II who participates in the Battle of Berlin. The soldier, along with many others, is sent to Gulag by Joseph Stalin. That's going to be this one. And then when we get to Roads to Moscow, Trey, I got a lot of interesting research for that one, baby. But we're going to have the lyrics up, and I think that's going to be really important
100%.
for these. And thanks again, Joseph. Always appreciate you. Nice build to the atmosphere that you need for a song.
No, you're
like
right,
this,
man.
dude.
I'm already intrigued 30 seconds in.
When I left my home and my family, my mother said to me, son, it's not how many Germans you kill that counts, it's how many people you set free. So I packed my bags, brushed my cap, walked out into the world. 17 years old, never kissed a girl. Took a train to Voronezh, that was as far as it would go. Changed my sacks for a uniform, bit my lip against the snow. I prayed for Mother Russia in the summer of '43, and as he drove the Germans back, I really believed that God was listening to me. Then we howled into Berlin, tore the smoking buildings down, raised the red flag high, burned the Reichstag brown. I saw my first American, well, he looked a lot like me. He had the same kind of farmer's face, said he come from someplace called Hazard, Tennessee.
Shout out to Hazard, Tennessee,
Hey.
in the middle of this song.
I didn't expect that to get a shout out, eh? I am digging too how the explosion of the saxophone
Yes.
comes in here, man.
Then the war was over, my discharge papers came. Me and 20 lovers went to Stettiner for the train. Kiev, said the commissar, from there your own way home. But I never got to Kiev, we never came back home. Trey went north to the Taiga, where stripped and marched in fire up the great Siberian road for miles and miles and miles and miles, dressed in stripes and tatters, in a gulag, left to die, all because Comrade Stalin was scared that we'd become too westernized.
Didn't see that coming.
Ooh, I know, man. Powerful verse. Jeez.
Used to love my country, used to be so young, used to believe that life was the best song ever sung. I would have died for my country in 1945, but now only one thing remains. 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 The brute will survive.
All right, there you have it. Red Army Blues. Did not see this song taking the turn. It did.
I did not either.
At the end, such powerful lyrics. I'll let you kind of get into the arrangements. You made some good points there. Something to remember, I used to teach history like years and years ago, but the Russian people throughout history have had as harsh or harder things happen to them than any other people group in the world. I understand the massacre of the Jews in World War, 6 million Jews died in World War II. I'm kind of setting that aside. I'm talking about the history of a country just from century to century. And in World War II, which both these songs are going to cover, the Russians lost about 17 million people, or about 15% of their population.
Wow.
So, what a huge, but in this song at the end, a little twist where Stalin sends his own soldiers out to die.
know.
But I'm getting
Yeah,
ahead of the story a little bit. But I thought that even the first part of it was was powerful, Trey, because so I packed my bags, brushed my cap, walked out of the world. 17 years old, never kissed a girl. So I was the 17-year-old kid, man, and that's the way it was, and the way it still is a lot of times.
Yeah.
In war, are sent out to do the work of the men that sit in their palaces.
No, man. Yeah, I just thought this was a great display of songwriting. I thought the instrumentation was really strong as well, where you almost had those core like oohs.
It was great to break up each verse.
Yeah, and the explosion of the saxophone as well. You had the guitar going in pretty wild at the end too. I think to just kind of give that emotional cap to how the song ends, man. So he notes that I prayed for Mother Russia in the summer of '43 as we drove the Germans back. I really believe that God was listening to me.
That was a great line.
That they howl into Berlin. You have that wartime imagery. You can just start to picture it all in your head. He notes that he sees an American that was from Hazard, Tennessee. Shout out.
And he looks a lot like me, and that kind of gives you a little, like they were probably told, even though we were on the same side, but that was kind of the way it worked out in World War II. We weren't initially, and then we became on the same. We had a common enemy, even though we weren't friends with the Russians. And so he all of a sudden went, oh, well, this guy looks like me. He must be all right. And then you get to the verse. It's crazy.
No, yeah, he gets those discharge papers, thinks, oh, I'm going to be going back home, And then they get on the train, they get going. But he never got back to Kiev, man. They were stripped and marched in file up the Great Siberian Road for miles and miles in a gulag left to die, all because Comrade Stalin was scared that we'd become too westernized. Woo!
And
big time.
Then it finishes out, used to love my country, used to be so young, used to believe that life was the best song ever sung. I would have died for my country in 1945, the year World War II ended. But now only one thing remains. He repeats that 4 times. The brute will to survive, and then he ends. For the Waterboys to write this, is interesting.
Yeah, man. I thought Mike Scott really, this shows even from the earliest days in the band, that he was not going to shy away from tough topics.
Yeah, they're quite good, man. Check out our top 10. This song's not in it. Check out our top 10 after this if you haven't already. And Trey, that's going to take us to another epic song, at least from my research. That's what I believe. Roads to Moscow from Al Stewart. Past, present, and future, 1973. We'll tag team this, Trey. I'll start out, but there's a lot of research. But I wanted you to understand what the song was about before you went into it instead of after. So it tells the story of the German invasion of Russia during World War II. It's
get a little flipped.
It's flipped. As seen through the eyes of Russian soldiers, described by one source as being Alexander Solzhenitsyn. I know I messed that up, but oh well. Each verse of the song covers a different phase of the campaign, starting with the invasion by the German troops that commenced on June 22nd, 1941. So even before the U.S. wasn't brought into the war until 6 months later. First comes the attack, the catastrophic destruction of the Soviet Air Force aircraft at their aerodromes, and the initial efforts by the Soviet soldiers to escape the advancing Nazi horde. You come in, it's just what the Japanese did to the U.S. at Pearl Harbor. You come in, you take out the aircraft, and then all of a sudden it really kills your defenses.
And the next portion of the song relates to the Russian retreat through the Ukraine through the summer and fall of 41, including the fall of Smolensk, culminating in the approach of the Nazi armies to Moscow during Operation Typhoon. Stewart next describes the onset of winter with snow and mud, proving insurmountable obstacles for the Germans in the Battle of Moscow, following which they were forced to retreat. The German soldiers are portrayed as walking, quote, in the footsteps of Napoleon, referencing the French Emperor's ill-fated invasion of Russia all the way back in 1812. Next, the song turns to the activities of the Soviet partisans who waged their own war against the Germans behind German lines. It moves on to the Soviet invasion of Germany itself, during which the Germans are able to offer little effective resistance. Then comes the Battle of Berlin, which we just, heard, and following which the Germans realize that their dream of world domination is over, together with Hitler's reign of terror.
Finally, the song turns to its protagonist, who's eagerly anticipating his return to Russia after 4 years of fighting. Can you imagine that? Like 4 years, every single day, man. When he crosses the border, however, he is detained by the NKGB when they learn he had been captured by the Germans earlier in the war, even though he was released after only 1 day. He's separated from his companions and sent to the Gulag, where the song ends as he contemplates the, quote, forever expanse of the steely Russian skies above his camp. Al Stewart carefully researched this song, stating that he read 40 to 50 books about the war before writing it. He said, quote, the German invasion of Russia on the 22nd of June, 1941 was one of the greatest single events in the history of the world. The hero of Roads to Moscow fights his way first backwards towards Moscow and then all the way to Berlin, only to be imprisoned by Stalin, as were incalculable millions of others at the end of the Second World War. And that's never talked about. General Guderian, the Panzer leader, was incidentally perhaps the most imaginative of the early German commanders, and his lightning drives across Poland and France had created the basis for much of the German army's reputation of invincibility. He was also the only German general to argue with Hitler during the latter's frequent harangues. So, the thing with the Battle of Moscow, Trey, is that, and you mentioned it in the first part, the snow.
Yeah,
they
that's
did not
true.
understand, and it absolutely. If they would have had one more month, they would have taken over Moscow, and they would have had Russia. And this world might look a whole lot different. But man,
that's
that
true.
Russian war, they were not ready for that, and it ended up being really their downfall. So after that huge intro, but I wanted you to know what each part of the song.
I'm glad because
If you don't understand the history of it, you're kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on here. So once again, we'll have the lyrics up, and we'll comment on it when it's over. Roads to Moscow. Now, Trey, you see why I spent so much time on the research.
I was
on
gonna
the front
say,
end.
man, yeah, I'm glad that we kind of described what the song was about before we listened
Man,
to it.
What an epic song.
Oh, absolutely, man, and I thought the dueling guitar at the start, really, like I said, kind of set that ominous
did.
tone, so to speak, and Al comes in. He's got a very unique type of voice. I don't
He
even
does.
know how to describe
At first,
it,
I'm
but-
like, man, I don't know. And then you just get lost in the song.
oh yeah,
You just get lost about what's going to happen next. He does such a fantastic job playing out everything that happened that we talked about
yeah.
in the beginning. And, he doesn't understand at the end why he's going away. I think the most powerful lyrics are there, And it's cold and it's damp in the transit camp, and the air is still and sullen, and the pale sun of October whispers the snow will soon be coming. And I wonder when I'll be home again. And the morning answers never.
Oof.
And the evening sighs and the steely Russian skies go on forever because out in the middle of nowhere. And, the whole idea was just like the guy in the first song, right? On the Waterboys song. Like he's taken away, doesn't know why. He was taken away because he had a little interaction with Americans.
That's right.
This guy's taken away because he's
One
kept
day.
prisoner for one day. Because when you are a dictatorship like Stalin, when you're a dictator and you rule with an iron fist, what do you have to have? You have to have everybody programmed, Trey. And if there's
Complete
anybody,
control,
anybody who could bring any dissension, any outside experience, you just eliminate him, man. It was an awful thing that no one ever talked about in the years afterwards for a little while because, we kind of had to make a deal as Americans with the Soviets to kind of get through this war and make sure that we won.
Well, interesting too, this song, from that early 70s period, I mean, it was only a little over 30 years since the events he was
This is true,
describing.
too. That's a good point. Under 30 years.
So it's, very
That's true. Yeah, it's a good
impressive
point.
in that sense, man, that, it really wasn't that long by the time Al Stewart was. And even now, it hasn't even been a century since,
True.
World War II and all these atrocities occurred, man. So that's why, songs like this are very important and great to remind you of what, happened. So it hopefully never has to happen again type of deal.
Exactly. And as good of content as you could have for a song battle. Just because
yeah.
they fit so well together and they were both so good.
Well, and the fact that they both ended up in the gulag at the end was
crazy, man. In different circumstances.
wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I guess that brings us to our quote unquote winner of this battle right here. Both songs, expert storytelling, really strong musician to accompany the lyrics here, strong vocal performances. I don't think you can choose wrong on this one.
I don't either. I'm going to go with Red Army Blues by the Waterboys. I kind of like the stop, the instrumental break, the go, but the story to Roads to Moscow was maybe even better. But I mean, considering this man read 40 to 50 books and spent
That's
all this
true.
time doing it, I don't know. Like there is no wrong answer. So I'll go Red Army Blues.
Well, I'll go Roads to Moscow then. Just
that's the
'cause-
way it should be.
Yeah, I'll give the slight nod with just how detailed that story was, a name dropping actual,
Crazy, man.
real life people. I thought that was impressive. So, man, shout out to the Waterboys and Al Stewart for these, and shout out to Joseph for bringing this battle to us. An epic indeed. Let us know which of these you enjoyed more down in the comment section below, and if there are any other songs, I wonder, in this type of vein.
too.
Be sure to send some suggestions in the comments, man. And I guess that'll wrap it up from us today.
That'll do it. And if you'd like to support us in any way, like Joseph, bring us a song battle or song reaction, check out the Patreon link below or the one on the end screen that is about to hit.
And until next time, thanks for watching, y'all. Happy listening, and we will see you.